Well, hello, everyone. Alejandro J. Tornato. I am the founder and CEO of Tornato Speaking, Leadership, and Coaching LLC. And tonight, I would like to start by asking a question. Are you going through the motions? That's not a typical question that you are going to hear or that someone perhaps is going to ask you. But I learned a valuable lesson in my life, and I learned this lesson of not just asking superficial questions, but asking um, challenging questions, asking deep thought provoking questions. Because you see what happens? Nothing worth finding is usually on the surface of things. If you want diamonds, if you want gold, if you want precious metals, they're not on the surface. You have to dig and dig deep to really reach it, to really reach the treasure. Treasures are buried. Treasures are not left on the surface. And so, let me share this. You see, going through the motions won't make an impact. Think about that. Going through the motions, and so many people, thousands upon thousands, perhaps even millions of people throughout the globe, throughout the world. They live every day. They go about their business. They go about their activities. But they just go through the motions. And it becomes repetitive. It becomes perhaps like a photocopy machine. You just put the paper, you click on the button, you push the button, and you make a copy. And so you live today, and then tomorrow it's a photocopy of the day before. And the next day is a photocopy of the previous day. And that is going through the motions. Are there any benefits of going through the motions? No, I don't think so. I think that you're wasting effort, you're wasting time, valuable time and resources by going through the motions. You see, going through the motions will not make an impact. And if you want to make an impact, then you have to get away, you have to break away from that habitual practice of going through the motions. Just showing up doesn't lead to greatness. And that is true. But I want to slightly modify that statement. Just showing up alone doesn't lead to greatness. But you know what? It is better to show up than not to show up. So many across the land, they don't even bother showing up. Now, of course, just showing up alone will not lead to greatness. In order for you to get to greatness, to significance, you have to act. You have to take action. You have to do something. You have to get better. Be be a master of your craft, whatever that craft happens to be. You may be a carpenter. Just showing up every day in your carpenter shop will not lead to greatness. It will certainly help you, and you can do the work that you need to do. But if you really want to be an elite carpenter, break away from the masses of carpenters all around. Just showing up will not do it. You'll have to do something more, and that something more is becoming the very best carpenter that you can be. Mastering your craft, mastering carpentry. Become a Michelangelo or a Leonardo da Vinci in carpentry work. That's what it would take. Now, it starts by showing up, because you cannot be a master of your craft if you do not even show up. So you have to show up first. That's the first step. But there has to follow with action. There has to follow with a desire to improve, a desire to keep learning, a desire to keep perfecting your craft. All those elements have to be present in addition to showing up. I am a firm believer that showing up is the most important thing, because if you don't show up, then you already lost the war. If you don't show up, you lost the war. Now, if you show up, you may lose one battle, but you may still win the war. You see the difference? If you never show up, you already got defeated. That's a given defeat. Not showing up is a given defeat. But when you show up, you may lose one or two or three battles. But in the end, you will, if you persevere, if you're determined, if you keep going, you will win the war. And that is what makes the difference. Michelangelo said this: if people knew how hard I worked to get my mastery, to master my craft, it wouldn't seem so wonderful at all. You see, and that reminds me of John Maxwell, one of my mentors, used to say, usually says that so many people get taken by the fact that, and some people, they say that John Maxwell, he is an overnight success. He was an overnight success. And you hear people referring to others, who have reached a certain level of success, a high level of success, as, they're an overnight success. And he normally says, if those people who said that, if they knew the hours upon hours upon hours of work, hard work and practice, and developing that craft, improving that craft, perfecting that craft. See, Malcolm Gladwell, in one of his books, he states the famous 10,000 hours. If you want to reach to an elite level of mastery in your craft, elite level of performance, you have to put at least 10,000 hours in mastering that activity, whether you play the violin, whether you play the piano, whether you play basketball, whether you play golf, whether you are a chess player, whether you are a musician, whether you are a coach, whether you are a trainer, whether you are a public speaker, whether you are a carpenter, in whatever industry you happen to be working, if you want to excel, if you want to break away from the mass of humanity and get into that elite level, you have to put those 10,000 hours. And then you can be, or you can become, an overnight success. You know, it is not easy, but it is hard to be great. It is hard to be great, but it's well worth the effort, is it not? If you were given the choice to say, okay, well, just don't put enough work. I mean, don't just kill yourself. I mean, practicing and developing and working and improving. And you could become a mediocre person, someone that hovers around the 50% mark. And you could say, well, 50% is great compared to most people. If they are in the 5% or 10%, 50%, it's pretty high. And I just want to stay here in the 50% because it's not that hard. And okay, it's okay. It's good enough. But then the choice is, it's either the 50% mediocrity or is the 100% mastery, 100% elite level, 100%, as Robin Sharma says, just being in that rare air where only the perhaps less than the 1% is. What would you choose? There's no doubt in my mind that I would choose that level. Not because of the ego. No, the ego doesn't come into this. But it's because really we are here not just to go halfway. Not to go halfway. Why would you want to go only halfway? When if you really put in the work, put in the sweat, put on the determination, you can definitely get to that top elite level, and you can master your craft, you can master your activity, and rather than being a mediocre kind of a worker, I mean, you can be at the top level. So let me share this with you once again. Going through the motions won't make an impact. Just showing up doesn't lead to greatness. Michelangelo said, if people knew how hard I worked to get my mastery, to become a master at my craft, it would not seem so wonderful at all. It is hard to be great. It is hard to be great. It's not easy. It is hard to be great. But it is well worth the effort. And so that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. Meditate on these things. Reflect upon these things. Ask yourself this question. Am I going through the motions? Or am I thriving toward excellence? It's either one or the other, but you cannot do both. What is it going to be for you? Thank you so very much. Have a great rest of today, whatever you happen to be. And until the next time that we meet, all the best and be well.